One, two, three, black. Hello, movie lovers and creatures of the night out there. How are you? Welcome back to the Abhorrent Cinema YouTube page and our new segment, Interview with a Glampire. Ooh. I'm Noah Gray.
I'm Lily Rascal.
And today we have the distinguished pleasure and privilege of having on board Maxi Glamour. Welcome, darling.
Thank you.
So let's turn back time for a moment, shall we? I think the first time that you and I ever encountered each other was at the Black Friday ball in 2016, 2017?
Yeah, I think so.
Way back at the Uptown Underground, RIP. It was a celebration of, all Black with a capital B main talent. And Lily and I were just sort of extraneous go-go dancers there to give you all time to change your costumes. Wow, blast from the past. And from the moment I saw you, you were one of, first of all, the most eclectic in terms of aesthetics, but just original, creative, high energy, attention commanding people I've ever encountered. How long have you been performing, darling?
A long time.
That sounds about right.
I don't know, like I started in music, like Maxi Glamour is this like creature from the music scene. I started like playing in like bands when I was about 8, 9.
Oh, wow.
You know, I'm just gonna keep, I was playing flute in like school bands, not like,
Oh, okay.
you know.
Gotcha, okay.
But by high school, I was playing bands like that. And then it was really hard to like get straight boys to play instruments, and like straight boys in Missouri like Bon Jovi, and I was like, we can't have any of that. I left the flute behind, and then I played bass.
Okay.
I guess you as a bass player.
Yeah. So music then turned to nightlife, and you became a drag creature who some of our viewers may know from a little program called Dragula. You were on season 3, right?
I think that was a season. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm pretty sure.
Yes, season 3.
Lily's keeping notes to keep us all on track.
Because I had to watch this amazing human on and I mean season 3 of Dragula was like, I watched all the seasons, and season 3 by far was like the best looking one, had the most interesting queens in my opinion, because there was so many non-binary and then femme presenting and APAP and all these different kinds of people that I was like, shit, this is really cool. And then like some burlesque like you and Louisiana Purchase. And I was like, this is a really, really cool season. I think the first time I met you, you just came up to me and you're like, I like baklava. And I was like,
Yeah.
I love baklava too. Great. And then you're like, cool. I think I met you at Shimmy Showdown or Show Me.
I'm just trying to think. Like, there's been so many Shimmy Showdowns, and
I know.
so many Showmies.
I know. The reigning queen of Shimmy Showdown.
What?
There's been so many. Yeah, I won last year.
Congrats. I was gonna go, but I didn't get to be judge. I was like, Lola, I want to be your celebrity judge. She's like, okay, let's talk about it. And then she never followed up, and I was like, I'm not going.
But it was so cool having Salem, give me the crown.
Yeah.
Salem on the year before, and that was super awesome. But like, you kind of do so many different arts. I mean, you do pole, you do burlesque, you do drag, you do music. When did you start doing more like, how did you meet Lola? How did you get into this group of people in St. Louis?
Well, I was running a show with my drag mom at the Gray Fox, and it was like an up-and-coming show that like focused on like Black and trans performers in St. Louis. And then it was just kind of like this like really like close neighborhood bar that if you don't know about it, you don't know about it. And Lola walked in one day and saw us perform. I was like, hey, we're doing this thing and we need people for Pride. Do you want to come? And I was like, sure. And then I did Pride with them And then I was like, I really like your school thing, but like I don't really have like a place to stay. I don't even have like money. But I would love to like take classes there. And so I took all the classes at Vanello's, and I just like swept and mopped and cleaned, and like whenever they had events I would have to set up and stay after.
That's awesome. So you got to learn. Is that how you learned burlesque?
Yeah,
Through that area? And what kind of brought you to getting into burlesque?
like I involved like taking clothes off, but I didn't like structure it, and like I just always like getting naked, and I saw a thing called burlesque, and I realized that like drag queens were very like mean and like evil, and like everyone in competition, and like I think they were just trying to mimic what they see on TV, which is why sometimes I disconnect myself from that to like kind of like create drag as like more palatable to those that are non-competitive. And like that competitive aspect of it kind of like distanced me away, and like there was a lot of like burlesque people in the community that would like intermingle with drag, and so I would do stuff with them, and I was like, you know what, I really like being with you, and I just really found myself like happy in like burlesque. And then I realized that there was a lot of gatekeeping. And if you don't have like a super femme body and are white and do 1950s pinup, then
Yeah, and that's I feel like that's especially hard with a lot of different like arts, but especially like with burlesque, even with like non-traditional burlesque, like the horror side, the neo, like what pushes people to be like, you know what, I like semi parts of it, but I don't like the whole thing. So what can I do to uplift the parts that I enjoy and push all the other shit aside? And I think that's something that you do really well with burlesque and with drag and just with the, because like I like calling you a performance artist because you're so many different things all at once that it's, I don't want to put you in a category, even though those categories are wonderful. You just do so much. I mean, like the pole dancing, when I saw you do it with Steel, like that was so much fun because you guys had like this you had this narrative, this like this story being told on stage, and you get it, and it's so much fun. So like, so you did burlesque, and you're like, I like taking off my clothes. That's nice. So did pole come after that?
no.
Oh, pole was before that.
Yeah. When I was 18 and younger, I didn't really like, I couldn't stay at my mom's house and like present myself like femme. Like I don't have any makeup right now, and I don't even have eyebrows. But like in high school, I was like very effeminate. Like I would wear like red eyeshadow, and like my hair would be long and straightened, and I would wear like really tight clothes. And my mom wouldn't let me around the house sometimes like that. And so I found the club to be great. And after like one club ended, I was like, I want to stay in community. I want to be with queer people. And so we'd always go to the strip club on the east side. And I would go there every week, multiple times a week. And I didn't want any men to touch me. I just wanted to dance around in my underwear. I didn't even care about making money. I just wanted to be there and play with the pole. And they taught me how to do tricks. This was the first year I started performing in drag in about 2009.
So you've been doing it and out there twirling for a while, and it's become very much a part of your adolescence and adult life.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. To an extent, like I don't feel like pole is a wonderful thing. I just don't feel it's always palatable for very like many stages. And so like if there is a pole, I want to dance on it. But I can't have that be like my signature act, because it's not like I can't go to every city with a 13-foot pole.
Yeah, and they're super expensive, and then the insurance of going to all these places.
So you've got a history of being out there in queer scenes, showing off and using your body to make art, an incredible journey on becoming a drag performer and a burlesque performer. I want to ask you, when did the demon part work itself into your stage persona? Because for those of you who don't know, Maxi Glamour is the demon queen of polka music and Baklava.
I was just like always a fan of like, Dragon Ball Z and aliens and anime and like stories of like fantasy, and like I really liked how we demonize things and kind of like that's a bad thing. And so like my like intersecting identities have definitely been demonized, and so to like reclaim that, and that's kind of like how I've grown into like the words and like really looked at like what that means to me. I just always like thought monsters are cool, and like I'm a little like kind of like an imp, and like I get into trouble. I'm very mischievous, And Polka and Baklava are just like very absurd things that I really like. I think it kind of dictates the originality that I strive for, and just like huge juxtapositions like Polka and Baklava. What do they have to do together? Nothing besides me.
And
I like it.
she's the queen of them.
Yeah.
So the costuming and the accessories and the visuals that you create for your character are really incredible. Where do you get your inspirations for the look that is Maxi Glamour of like blue skin and elf ears?
You know, I really think high fantasy has a role in it, but also I want to like take high fantasy with like maybe like an anti-imperialistic perspective. I think that like he is a very, very, very much like Eurocentric, and it's like,
Yes.
well, there's a lot of different types of fairies out there, and you know, try to like look at my roots. I really love like African friends, and I love just like cultures around the world and like studying them and seeing like patterns that aren't like forced down our throats in this like Eurocentric thing. Like museums are full of like very like white things, and like the things that are like aren't from white places are like beautiful tribal prints and beautiful like gold and jewelry that like I really like that. I don't know.
When did you start doing makeup? Like, when did you start like really honing in on that skill that you have?
I remember the first time that I put on lipstick. I was in like first grade, and I was just so happy. We were learning about like DNA testing, and like for this like science class that we had to do. I went to a special school and we had like special classes, and it was like a case solving thing where we were doing crime scene forensics in first grade. It was a weird school.
Amazing.
Okay.
And so like we put lipstick on, and like we put lipstick on the napkin, so we had to like tell which people were apart, and I didn't want to take mine off. I was like, I love this, like this is so great. And like after I put it on there to like get my lip friend to like do the like big forensic things, I like wanted to put more on, and I walked around school. I was like this.
And then it turned into that Amanda Lepore commercial for MAC where you're just rubbing it all over.
Yeah, in high school, I went into school with like tribal makeup on, like my eyes blacked out and like red smeared all around my face and dressed in wild colors. They remember me in high school.
I bet. So I want to, if I can, ask about Dragula, because we just talked a lot about the high fantasy and the mythology inspirations behind your look and your act. I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of it.
Boo! Why do you do this?
Because I don't really like competitions, but it seems like the focus is that while you're there, you're operating within this horror brand. Is that more or less correct?
Well, there's like 4 different elements of Dragula. There's drag, filth, horror, and glamour. And like my last one's the last one. So like, and I'm a drag monster. No,
for sure. So other than the glamour element, what was the draw for you to audition for that?
I saw the second season, and I didn't watch it all the way through. I saw the applications for the second season, and I was like, should I do this? And then I saw James Majesty on it, and I was like, that's my friend. And I talked to him a lot, and I talked to him about it.
What was your application process?
I sent a video of me dressed in full drag, and I went to Schnucks, and I bought cookies with a whole jar of pennies.
Sounds
amazing. I love that.
I mean, that's an art installation right there. So in terms of the other elements, beyond the glamour, we all know you're glamorous. Are those a draw to you at all, especially like the filth, the horror part?
I mean, I don't do fake blood. I mean, I have. I don't know. I think horror's great. Like, to be honest, I think after Dragula happened, like, all drag queens that were like, I can't get on Drag Race, so I'm going to be a horror queen now. They just kind of changed their drag to be what they think the show wants them to be. And, like, that honestly made me, like, less into horror drag. And just, like, I'm not going to do anything spooky. Halloween, I'm going to be cuter. I mean, like, TV's trash.
Yeah. Absolutely. Reality TV is trash. So after Dragula feeling a little burnt out on horror, I think that's kind of a good segue into if I can ask a little about your partner, who's also a drag queen.
Yes,
Blair, who is probably visually the exact opposite of you. But if I'm right, you had a hand in sort of Blair's birth as a drag entity.
Yeah. I'm her drag mom.
Can you tell us about how you, the demon queen of Baklava and Polka, birthed this Barbie doll?
I hosted a thing called the Drag Lab, and it was like a weekly event in which people can come and like I saw, like, I know this might like be really bad, but I saw like too many people capitalizing off of like knowledge, and it's like I want to like give it to people like as a free resource that like as me I benefited from. So I had like this weekly thing called Drag Lab, and there were people that would come and they were like, I want to try out being drag, I want to try it out, I want to do it. And then Blair started there, and like just kept growing. And then like the people that like stuck around there, we created like a family, and it's changed shape. You know, they all have their own different things, and I don't, you know, when it comes to group acts, I'm like, okay, I'm choreographing this. You don't like it, whatever. But like you're doing your own thing. Like if I don't like it, whatever, you know, as long as you're like putting your time into it and you care and like you want to do it. Like another one of my drag children does like almost exclusively Beyonce. And another drag child does like pretty much just anime songs, just of like, they do very like Dora stuff.
I love that. How many drag children do you have?
I don't know. I mean, some people it's up for debate. Some people quit. Some people, you know, like also there's a lot of interpersonal drama within drag, and I think that like the thing about art in general is that, like, art is fueled by your ego because you want to take your mind and put it onto a medium, and you want people to look at it and validate your mind and your thoughts and your identity. And like sometimes that gets in the way of like people connecting, and that's the toxic side of drag.
Or really any art that has like a heavy culture.
So how many drag people you have? A lot. Some.
I think like seven. I think 7 is about right.
That's a good number. Healthy.
There's
I love
one
that.
person who wants to be in a family, but they don't perform. But they're like a cartoonist, and they like created a cartoon drag persona. They want to be in the family, and I was just like, you know what? Okay.
That's cool though.
That's really cool.
Appreciating art just in a different way, and I think that's a really cool style too.
Do you consider Maxi Glamour to have like a house, or is it just kind of the affiliated friends and progeny of Maxi Glamour?
I mean, we have the House of Glamour.
Oh, okay.
That's my last name though. I just kind of help people get gigs and like help them like propel themselves and like help nudge them and like be like, now do you think you could maybe brush your hair?
Yeah, it's that kind of that like motherly love when you're like, I know you don't like wearing eyelashes, but your face is blocked out on stage. I know contour, like fuck makeup, whatever, but like you're blown out on stage, sweetheart. Like we need to put some contour so people can see your reactions. Or like, yeah, like this is how you do a wig. This is how you do this. Like it is that motherly love. Do you think have you like grown? I know you've grown like a fan base. Like you already had a wonderful fan base. I don't know, in my opinion. Before Dragula, do you have more people like reaching out to you, kind of feeling like, hey, I kind of clicked with you on Dragula afterwards?
Yeah, every day.
Knowing you outside of all that stuff, and such a wonderful, sweet person that you are, and seeing you on Dragula, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to punch a bunch of the other queens for how they treated you. Me, I was like, you can ask my partner. I was like, when I watched that season, I was like yelling at people, being like, "You fucking don't say that to Maxi," because of like how rude. And it's like, if I mean, it's like, how much was that pushed on and pressured by the TV, and how much was that just like people just being rude for no reason?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna be happy like on day one. That NDA now.
Yeah.
So when people are producing TV shows, they want the TV shows to be palatable to large audiences, and large audiences like story arcs, and story arcs are usually based around conflict. And I think that people that are in the position to want their story arc to last long intentionally create conflict so that they get airtime. And I think that I wanted to be a good role model, and I went on a TV show that encourages people to fight with each other, to talk about how we can come together as a community. So with this like Dragula Resurrections thing going on.
Yeah, what is this? I don't even know what this is.
Bringing people back to life. When I did it the first time, the whole like couple months before, I was doing like costuming for a children's theater and producing shows and like using all my money and resources to like focus on like my drag family and like the Devil's Cabaret, make sure all those things were right, that I didn't like put really much time into like creating stuff for myself. I'm like, oh, it's fine. You know, like I'm an amazing dancer. Like I'll just go through, except for they edited out my whole dance performance and I was just like, okay, I have nothing left.
You didn't see anyone's stage show. That's the one thing I don't like about Dragula is like you see clips of everyone's stage show, but I want to see people's stage shows.
Yeah.
You don't get to.
Wow.
I'm really lucky that like in the rock challenge, like I got to play like bass upside down. Like I was like, I actually play the bass and I know how to do this. And like
you killed it in that one.
Henry Rollins was like, I don't know. I still feel robbed for that one. I feel robbed in episode 3 and episode 4.
Did you get to like meet Henry Rollins? And what was
No, I did not. He's following me. He and his wife are following me on like Instagram.
Oh, fun.
Which is really cool because like I watched the Henry Rollins show when I was like high school, where he would like bring bands on and just like interview them, and like I was like, that's so punk rock. I mean, each of the celebrities have like different contracts, and like to like create like fair system, I think that they just can't bribe people. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of rules around TV to like make sure like the competition is fair or whatnot.
Yeah. What is something about reality TV that you didn't know but learned in the process of shooting?
That shooting takes forever, and that people don't really think about like vegan meals.
Yeah. How long does it take to make one episode?
To shoot it, it's like there were some days where we were filming like 17 hours. It was like, okay, back, okay, wide angle, okay, short cut, you know, like for some of the more like curated scenes, it took forever.
Yeah. So like in the span of we tune in and we watch an episode, how many days of shooting does that really represent?
I don't like when you're there, like, because you're like in a room and you don't get to see anything. You're like locked in there and you don't know. Like we filmed in LA, and so we couldn't like walk around outside like in drag.
Oh sure, so hot.
So we didn't see sun, so we didn't really know what day it was. And so sometimes it was like forever.
Yeah.
I make it feel a lot worse than it really is, but it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds hard, and you know, shooting things isn't easy. But you know, to cap that off, I think listening to your experience, it sounds like you went into something where the idea that most people have is the best way to succeed is to create conflict. You went into that environment with the intention of being a kind person and showing off your talent. And I think there is nothing more punk rock than that.
Oh, I totally agree. Even if I didn't know you and love you, I still would have been rooting for you.
I think that there's like a particular people that like I connect with, and it's like interesting seeing like I don't have the most followers out of all the Dragula people, you know. I don't have like, but I don't get a lot of hate mail. I barely get any hate mail, and it's like kind of great. I'm not trying to like hurt nobody, even though like I do direct action sometime, and I am in like, you know, the streets protesting, but like I'm not trying to like literally hurt anybody, but I do cause a ruckus.
Causing a ruckus for the good cause.
Exactly. So if we can vamp off of things you've made for people to watch, you mentioned earlier that you grew up watching a lot of anime, which same. I feel like we grew up in the perfect time to get into anime. What are you watching now that inspires you?
Like I'm not like a huge TV person. Like
Mm.
I'm really into like public policy and community organizing right now,
Oh, cool.
and like not as inspired by like drag. So like I've been reading a lot of like lectures, or like I like watching lectures like on YouTube, or like listening to podcasts about like social theory, or like sitting in teach-ins about like public policy, or like programs in the city. The only show that I really watch is Lovecraft Country,
Love.
but they don't really like. I don't find it inspiring for my art. Like
That's fair.
maybe like the story aspect, but I don't see I mean, yeah, they got like nice clothes that's vintage, and like that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. There's not like wizards and like fairy creatures that like with like beautiful like gowns.
Which is what really speaks to you.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite movies and or shows or general characters from any medium?
I really like art house films that are like kind of like nonsense and just like visual regurgitation, like Fellini's Satyricon, or
Mhm.
Color Pomegranates or Holy Mountain. I really like those elements of like psychedelia. Stardust was really cute. That's one of my favorite movies.
I like
there's
that
no black
one.
people in it, but that's just fantasy in general.
Right. Yeah. In my opinion, one of the very few movies that's actually better than the book.
That was like such a good movie.
It's so cute. And I mean, there's plenty of, pretty visual characters and some not so pretty visuals going on there to enjoy.
Yeah, I like the ugly stuff too.
Michelle Pfeiffer, both as an old witch and a young witch. Love.
Have you seen Ninth Kingdom or 10th Kingdom? It's like a TV series. It's about like fantasy, and it's like I think it's like 9 hours long.
No.
Several episodes. It's just like amazing. I think it's really good. It's like they go into this alternate dimension where like fairy tales exist, and like these trolls are hunting them, and like it's like a very, 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 very nerdy thing.
That's fun. No, I've never heard of that. I'll have to look that up. Have you seen the show Hilda on Netflix?
No, what's that?
It's so cute. It's an animated series about like a fictional country in Europe where fairy tales are real, and it's about a girl who's out in the mountains surrounded by elves and trolls that turn to stone during the day. And it's her like going on adventures with all her woodland fairy friends, and then they have to move to the city unexpectedly. It's really, really cute and witty and adorable and heartwarming. And I love it.
No, Hilda is really, really cute. And pretty. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
It's like Steven Universe, where it is a kid's show, but it's got a lot that anybody can enjoy. On that note, speaking of like fairy tales, do you have like an all-time favorite mythical creature?
Krishna?
Oh, okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
What's the draw in that to you?
Plays the flute, he's blue, he's magical, he's like ambivalent, but like pretty altruistic, and he like gets into mischief, and he's so black he's blue. I think that's what Krishna means, like very black or something like that. I don't know, he's just so beautiful, and like the way that like he's represented, and like his sexuality, and like the fluidity, and it really like helped me when I was like leaving Christianity.
Yeah, leaving the just the oppressiveness of the Christian church and finding out how vastly different and incredible systems of belief and mythologies from other countries are. I totally agree with that. I fell in love with just reading about world religions when I was in high school as well, because I was raised Catholic. Love that for you.
Yeah, and they can transform into other beings. They all have different avatars, and they can,
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot to keep track of.
a lot.
I just looked it up. Krishna is the 8th avatar of Vishnu and is worshipped as the god of tenderness, compassion, and love, which I love for you.
He hangs out with the swans, Right.
That's right. Yeah.
and the whole universe is inside of his mouth, and he opens his mouth. It's the whole universe.
Which is super fun.
Yeah, I can't do that, but I can vibrate my uvula. You can't see it, but it's vibrating back there.
Oh, I am
That's
seeing it.
fun.
It's super fast. That's awesome.
How long have you been able to do that?
Since I taught myself French at 8.
Oh, I see. Okay, I can see that with French pronunciation. Cool.
We have talked through so much wonderful, fun stuff, getting to know you more. I'm really glad we got to like have these conversations.
Yes, I think we've covered the gambit of all manner of topics of conversation. So I think the only thing left to do is to hit our final questions. I have asked these questions to all of our other interviewee subjects. So it's time for us to go down our not so rapid question list that I think every fan of horror should be able to answer. Are you ready, my darling?
And you can put in your own answer.
It can be a tie, it can be fill in the blank.
Okay, no pressure.
No pressure at all. I'm gonna edit this. Okay, so first up, Freddie and Jason going at it. Who are you rooting for?
Isn't Freddie gay?
Is Freddie gay? He is pretty gay, but I don't know if he's gay.
Yeah.
The second Freddie movie was gay.
That is true.
So let's go with that.
Oh, that one was like a lot of people pretend never happened because of how interesting it was. But
And by interesting, we mean gay.
Yeah.
Freddie, because he's gay. Next up, werewolves or vampires?
Oh, vampires, I hate hair.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
That is.
Sure. So we're making a horror film. It's your ideal film. You're in charge. We're making it to your specifications.
Oh.
In this film, at the end, do you want to see a final girl / final person, or do you want there to be no survivors whatsoever?
Oh, I want there to be a survivor. I think that's why sometimes I hate horror movies, because I think it's just like, I'm so much like rooting for like the good guys that it's like they're just dead.
Yeah.
no, I'm the same way. I like rooting for someone, and I actually feel emotionally attached when someone I really like, something happens to them. I don't want to watch the rest of the movie because I'm like,
I'm done with this. My person died.
Right.
You're too pure for this world, Maxi Glamour. You truly are, my dear. All right. So in this this horror movie that we're doing, where we have survivors, do you want there to be any jump scares, or do you feel like jump scares are lowbrow?
You know, I think sometimes it's beneficial to have fake jump scares, you know, at the beginning of the movie, because then you'll know like something crazy is gonna happen.
You like a fake out?
Yeah, I like it's like, fuck. Now I'm scared. Now I'm on edge. And now I'm like more attentive to what's going on, because that just shook me.
Yeah. I like a fake out too. Lily's not a fan though, so.
I like maybe like one, but like when it's like I lose my momentum of like actually like giving a fuck.
I just don't like gore.
Sure. I don't either.
It's traumatizing seeing like people get their like limbs cut off.
Unless it's like a 70s or 80s movie where like the blood is like bright fuchsia and you're like, well, this is obviously not real, you know?
Green,
yeah,
when
I don't.
was doing sludge green blood for some reason.
Yeah, or that. I kind of feel the same way. I don't. Gore porn is just, it's not my thing.
I don't have the stomach for it.
Yeah, sure. Understandable. So, as far as setting tone, do you want there to be any dramatic music stings in this film? Do you want people to turn the corner, there's the monster, and bum bum? Or is there silence?
No, listen.
No.
I want every single second of the movie to have music that's well orchestrated, so like partner with what you're seeing, but not like too like much. Like sometimes I think that it gets like played out, but like I don't know. I'm working on an album and I'm really like focusing on like how to make it like make ambience and like set a tone. Like all the acts that I did with Steel, like those are like songs that I created and like that we created the act to.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really love music, and I just want I want the music to be very important. If there's no music in the movie, Sounds beautiful, but I think that music needs to be made. And silence can't be music.
True. But
Cool.
this movie is going to have a very intentional soundtrack. It's going to win. What do movie soundtracks win, Tony?
Oscars?
Oscars. That's the one. Love it. This is going to be great. Speaking of movies, do you have a favorite movie monster / creature / non-human being of all time?
Creature of the Black Lagoon, but he was so like one-dimensional that I don't really think. Maybe. You know, like the Shape of Water character?
Mm-hmm.
How there was like a similar character named Abe in Hellboy?
Yeah.
Like that subaquatic creature that was like hyper intellectual, or Dr. Manhattan. That's so hard. Which blue character is my spirit creature?
I was just about to say, I'm noticing a theme here. Dabba dee, dabba die. They're so blue.
I don't know. One of those, Dr. Manhattan or Abe from Hellboy.
Okay.
I like that.
I can see
Dr.
that.
Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen TV series because he's black.
All right. I haven't seen it yet. Is he still like glowing blue and naked?
Yes, and he's also black and naked, and you see his dick, and it's nice.
I'm into that. It's on my list, but I can't watch more than 2 series at one time.
Yeah.
And I'm at capacity right now, but it's going to happen. So I was dancing around this one because I wasn't sure if it would speak to you, but we covered that you like vampires, so I'm going to ask you, do you have a favorite incarnation of Dracula across the history of film?
I think Bela Lugosi was cool. The Dracula and Buffy was like really awesome because like they did like this vampire, like this Halloween special. It was like a 3-episode thing with Dracula. I think Dracula and the Batman comics is pretty dope. Yeah, those would be good.
Love that. So you read a lot of comic books, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite comic book series of all time?
I don't know if it might be House of M. But
Yes! I love you.
maybe House of M, because I just think that it centers around like Wanda, and I think that like her going crazy and like eliminating all mutants and like focusing on the ambiguity of like morality around like Magneto, and like how like it really like focuses on like an alternate dimension within another alternate dimension.
Bitch, and then what did they do to her in the movies? She can just make red energy blasts.
I don't know, like whenever she fought the Vision, she like pulled him down like 4 different stories, and like they're gonna, I don't know, I'm waiting for this TV show, WandaVision.
Right. I'm curious, but I don't know. I feel like in the MCU they nerfed her and did her dirty.
Not as bad as Rogue, but still.
That's true. That is very, very true. Well, my darling, we've just been chitter-chattering up a storm, and we could go on, but I have to edit this. So I just want to thank you so very much for talking to us this evening. It's been so wonderful having you. Lily, my darling, anything else you'd like to add before we cut things off?
No, I've learned so much more about Maxi Glamour, and that's wonderful. And I'm so glad that we got to talk about just so much fun stuff and get to connect in such a crazy world right now over the internet. So thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you so much again. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Beelzebub willing, we'll all see each other at a show me someday in the future.
And there's Alistair.
Alistair.
He's a
Sleeping.
good Alistair.
Oh my goodness. Dead
And
asleep.
see, for our followers and our viewers, where can they find you? Where can they see you?
MaxiGlamour.com.
Ooh, she has her own domain.
I went there. It's pretty.
Yeah, I've been running my own website since I was 19, and so
Don't you get that domain?
Nice.
I was like, I'm buying this, bitch. I'm gonna do something with it.
Love that. And now it's just yours. And Maxi Glamour on Instagram, right?
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, OnlyFans. You just Google Maxi Glamour and I'll show up in any platform you want me to be.
On that note, my darlings, thank you all once again for tuning in to the Abhorrent Cinema. I am Noah Gray.
I'm Lily Roskell.
Thank you again to our extra special guest, Maxi Glamour. We will see you all next time, my darlings. Until then, happy haunt.
Happy hauntings.
Ooh, spooky.
Spooky.